I'm going to talk about two very foundational things. Two very foundational things. I love putting things in right perspective. I want to try and revisit the historical ties between the Benin and the Esan people. It's most important because at a time where our unity is most paramount, the enemies within us wants to furtherly divide us. So I am not that kind of a person that can be carried away with a lot of non-important issues, very trivial issues. So we have to revisit the relationship between the Esans and the Benin. I have sworn to uphold the history of my land, not at the detriment of the history of other people. So what I do best is I try to educate our people with the knowledge that I have. So whatever I say on or offline is to the best of my knowledge. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it is the most authentic knowledge. I've had a course where some people had to query that sometimes I sound as if I'm the only knowledgeable person. So I try to let them know, no, that's not how I sound. So when when it comes to historical issues like this, I personalize it like I, Zodowa, said so that you can hold it against me tomorrow as my knowledge, not that it is the only knowledge out there. So when I try to explain the historical connection between, I'm about to explain the historical connection between the Esans and the Benins. That is based on what I know. Possibly it is not correct. Possibly it might not be the truth. But those details would have been taken out from books that I have read. So many let me drink water. Then after which I'm just going to quickly run through the territories of Great Benin and in Nigeria perspective. So that means whether Great Benin got to Benin Republic, Togo, or Ghana, or Guinea, I'm not going to talk about all that because I'm just going to talk about the Great Benin territories within the Nigeria context, using discrediting some fallacies being propagated by our neighbors, most especially the Igbos and the Yorubas. So someone called me and said that, what is the fate of Nigeria? What is the fate of the Benin people when Nigeria eventually breaks? Why can't we maintain just Edo and Delta? I've had a whole lot of that argument. I've also been called to say that Pedro Obaseki is doing an amazing job. Someone I look up to, but I've not really met him in person for us to talk about some of these critical issues. And then I will also say, while I do not subscribe to the word Bendel, why I don't think the fate of our country, the faith of our country that will be born, I'm not saying Nigeria now, cannot be restricted to Edo and Delta. We are much more larger than that. And I will explain why I believe Pedro Obaseki's ideology is a political ideology, why my ideas or ideology is an historical ideology. So it is not what was created August 9, 1963 through the plebiscite or through referendum that would have been maintained, or that I think should be maintained, because that was just a political creation from the existence of Nigeria when Nigeria was already in existence. So, but we have had connections with quite a whole lot of other ethnic nationalities within the context of South, Southeast, and Southwest, even in North Central, which I will unveil some of those ethnic groups. Most times I try not to talk about the relationship of Edo and Esan because of Benin and Esan, because of the sensitivity that surrounds it. I will be as very truthful and careful as possible when I try to explain the relationship. I believe that the war that we are looking for, the victory that we hope to get someday in the future, lies in our diplomatic approach. And that is what I must continually educate our brothers about. I must continually educate our brothers about. It is that diplomatic approach that we must employ in the realization of the future of what we are anticipating for a nation that will be reborn. I continually use the word that a nation that will be reborn because we are once a nation. My brother, the owner of this page, shared some African maps, some 100, 200 years old century maps, where you could see that Benin was ascribed as a West African state, a sovereign nation, a sovereign nation. So when we have tasted a country, freedom, independence, sovereignty for hundreds of years, and for whatever instances that happened that made us now become subjected to the sovereignty of another nation, and they are now pushed for the division of this country because it's not working. We must now advocate for a nation that will be reborn, because there was a nation that was born first, where our sovereignty was lost, and now there will be a push for the revival of our sovereignty. But however, before we start going to make some of these push to actualize the nation that will be reborn, we must fundamentally address critical issues that has separated us. For example, the Yorubas. For example, the Yorubas. Now, the Yorubas at one point in history were heterogeneous. They were different people. From the very beginning, there were different people. It was the origin history of Ile-Ife people is different from the origin history of Ekiti. The origin history of Ekiti different from the origin history of Ijebu. The origin history of Ijebu different from the origin history of Ilaje, and all that. So that means the people now called Yoruba at one point in history were not one people. They were not all ancestrally connected, but they had a truce, and their leaders were smart enough to find a way of uniting these different people to become one. They had no ancestral connection whatsoever, but they were able to find a way to unite these people, and that is the rest is history, and that is why they are more important than us in Nigeria, who claim to be ancestrally connected. Sometimes we blame the Yorubas for being very cunning, but in truth, in real sense, they are smart, because every single one of the very key factors, coming from a science background, one of the very key factors for evolution, for those who had for those who have inclination, for those who have inclination towards for those who have inclination to James Smith, I don't even know what to tell you. I don't even know what to tell you. It is true that, you wanted to write, is it true that Yoruba is selling land? First of all, Oba do not sell land. You don't sell land that you own. Oba does not sell the land that belongs to him in the first place. So you have to correct yourself. I know you most likely will be an Igbo person where you don't have leadership. So, and that's a very foundational problem that they say affecting your kind. We the Benins will have leaders. So for your information, Oba Benin owns the land. So he cannot sell what he owns. Whatever he wants to use his land for, let him use his land for. So that is not even a big deal. Yes, I agree with you. Greatest brings glory. Language is one of the most potent instruments for unity of the people, and that is what we must now critically look into. And that's why it is very, very fundamental we look at the problem that affects the Benins and the Esans. If we are able to cross that puzzle, we might be able to have the language issue resolved. Yeah, how are the Benins related with the Esan people? We are very, very much related. We share the same bloodlines, and the Esans are very, very integral in the making of the old Benin Empire. Very, very integral. Sometimes I frown at Benin people who takes advantage of an ancestral respect the Esans have for the Benins. I dislike those Benin people. I also dislike those Esan people who wishes to change the ancestral respect their forefathers had for the Benin people. I'm not going to mention some names of some dukes who in recent times in Esan land, they are trying to do two things. First, they are trying to say that we must change that culture that says that where a Benin man is, An Esan man cannot break collar. No matter how small he is, he must touch the collar and all that, blah, 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 blah. They're trying to change that culture. And I also frown have for the Benins. We want to now make it feel that the Esans are Benin children. The Esans, in truth, are not Benin children. James Smith, there are few foundational things you must know. Let me advise you. When you come to other people's pages, you must respect them. If you don't want to respect them, but you must do yourself a favor by showing decorum. I know respect does not flow in the blood of the Igbo people, hence they are very disrespectful, very arrogant wherever they see themselves. But I must warn you, if you try to come to this page and be disrespectful, I'm going to block you straight. So I don't have time for low-life punks who doesn't know how to respect other people's opinion. I'm sure that there are a whole lot of Biafra pages. I don't go there to insult anybody. I just allow them misguide themselves with whatever ideas they have. For a truth, if nobody owns any land in Igbo land, that's your culture. The major reason that my culture is respected than Igbo culture is because we have respect. We are not insolent like you people. We have respect for others. And my culture simply states that the Oba of Benin is the owner, the custodian, Oba Nyaido. I heard you guys used to beat your Ezes and disrespect. Anyway, your Ezes cannot be respected because when to every 4 houses there's an Eze, there's a king in your land. So you guys are born to disrespect your kings because you can. Sorry, the network. Something just happened on the network. I'm so sorry. Yeah, sorry. We're back online. It's network just almost stripped off. I just pray the network don't mess today up. Anyway, let me not be distracted. Let me not be distracted. Let's talk about Esans and Benins. Like I've said, there's an ancestral law that states, agreed by the ancestors of the Esans, agreed by the ancestors of the Benins, that the Esans show respect to the Benin people through several practices, one of which is the breaking of the kola. Alright? It is also in return that we the Benins must not use that sign of respect that Esans has for Benin to make them feel subservient to us. It's just respect. It's just respect. No, the network is okay now. The network is okay now. The network is okay. I think nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong with the network now. Okay. Sorry. The network is okay now. You can check if the network is good now.
Let us have.
How you do? File pure water, make a put for inside, make a cup. Is the network okay now? So, like I've said, we must find a way for the unity of these ancestrally connected people. Not to make it seem that one ethnic group or that go buy now. Just buy. You guys want to know? I don't know whether I get change again.
I get 50 card.
Just buy pure water. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. So the point is what I'm trying to drive out. I've listened to the very two sides of the quarrel the Benins have with the Esans and the quarrels the Esans have with the Benin. I think it's about respect, not an ancestral issue. It's more of like a respect. The Esans want to revolve because they feel that the Benis, think that they are subservient to them. Now, if for example, assuming in one of the works of the most popular Esan historian, C.J. Okoje, that's Christopher Okoje, Dr. Christopher Okoje, C.J. Okoje, in his works, the Esan Native Laws and Customs, pointed out how Esans left Benin. Now, my fundamental argument about that fact is this. My name is Zodowa. If today I decided to leave Benin, I relocate from Benin, I make this facts so that people can understand how some of these things can make some people feel bad about it. If assuming my great grandfather, what's my great grandfather's name? So my great grandfather is Imaswen. Yeah. My great grandfather is Imaswen. If Imaswen left Benin 150 years ago and migrated or traveled, however you want to put it, so Janin, for example, just bust one, put my jacket, and travel to Germany, for example. That's where my grandfather was born, in Mayenahwe, and that's where my father was born, Amovia, and that's where I was born, in Zodowa. Now, will you not tell me that I am a son of Benin, being that my recent nationality, I'm not German by birth, but ancestrally I am Benin. So when I'm trying to interact with my Benin brothers, they are not telling me that I am their children, I'm their child. Let me put it that way. I'm not a lower class specimen. I'm trying to use a better word to use it so that we can understand it. I'm not a lower class specimen or citizen of Benin. I am a Benin man. So The point is this: if it is true that some majority of Asians migrated from Benin to become who they are, that makes them Benin. By that virtue, they cannot be subservient to who they are. But Ray Samson, my network is not bad though. I don't know, maybe your network over there. I have a good network here. My network is not bad. If it's bad, I would just say it's bad. It's not bad. My network is really strong. I seriously think, Zogia, that's not true. I seriously think that's not true. Are you not saying that if me as a Benin man go to Yoruba land where they are breaking kola nut, because I'm a Benin man, the Yoruba will not say as a Benin man I should break kola nut before them? That's not true. That can't be true. While we are projecting our history, we should project our history in the truest of sense. There might have been some ethnic groups that allows the Benin to break the kola nut because they are ancestrally Benin, not those who are not ancestrally Benin. For example, are you not saying that a Benin man will go in the midst of Igbo man and Igbo people will allow you break kola nut? So it just doesn't make sense. Will we also allow an Igbo person break kola nut in our own land? So it's about mutual respect. I understand of our greatness and all that, but we must also put it in the right perspective. We must not use it to feel that other ethnic nationalities are not important. Other ethnic nationalities does not have their own pride. Other ethnic nationalities does not have their own culture and custom. I know that Igbos, when you're calling ethnic nationalities that has culture, Igbo does not have. So that's why they are always fond of disrespecting their elders. In short, they don't consider elders in their land. Everybody is just like an elder over there. Let me block this James Smith. It seems like the guy doesn't have sense. Okay, so okay. In that case, you are right. If it's within the context of Edo State, you are right. But I think that's more of like a respect. It's not compulsory. It's more of like a respect. We shouldn't look beyond it as a respect, as a matter of fact. For example, Owans are ancestrally Benin. If I go to Owan land and they decide to break kola nut and not call me to come and break kola, I shouldn't raise an eyebrow. If they call me to come and touch the kola nut or break the kola nut, that's good. It's respect, but we shouldn't look at it beyond that. That's what I'm saying. If our Benin descendants has come as to show us that respect, it's also respect is reciprocal, like it has been said. So it's also important that we also show them that respect by understanding that it was not mandatory. If they decide not to give me that kola nut to break, heaven will not fall. All right, but they might have stampeded. Yes, that Anambra community could have been ancestrally related, connected to the Benin people. It is like I have said, Mr. Zogia, it is a respect. It does not go beyond that. On our way, nothing. I don't know whether you understand. So, but when some very misguided Benin people now start to think that because other Benin descendants shows us that respect of making us to know that that is where they came from will not amount for we regarding them or seeing them as subservient or less human or slaves. I think it's a foundational issues that has blighted or sort of the relationship between the Benins and Esans. And like I said, I'm not supporting any side. If you ask me in this matter, I have said that I'm not taking any side. I'm not taking the side of Esan. I'm not taking the side of Benin. I'm just saying if there is an ancestral law that says that that's how it should be, all right, it should be. Then if an Esan man feels that, why should it be? Yes, it's free. It's his opinion about things. It is not a law that was enacted that it is a must. All right, and that shows that Esan person has disrespected the respect that his ancestors had for the ancestral home. So it's a two-way thing. One shouldn't look like the respect that one is showing to the other makes the other one subservient or inferior to the other, and the one shouldn't not feel that Rota or the law is sort of the sort of a respect that their ancestors have been giving the Benin as a way of a solidarity to show of their ancestral connection to these people must be broken because of civilization. So these things must be balanced. This is about the only thing I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about whether Esans came from Uhe when they were coming from the Great Trek and all that, according to the works of OSB or Morige. I don't want to talk about works of Jacob Wade Araira that Esan having an Esan for blah 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 blah. I'm just saying that if the Esans have been showing the Benin people respect for this long, that is an ancestral respect that we should not think it's a right. We should not think it makes them inferior to us. That's about my point in this whole matter. Which chief broke kola nut? I was in Ile-Ife. I don't think that kind of a thing. Yes, the Ife people prayed, so the Ife people broke kola nut. The Benin people, it was even Chief Ehato, Chief Ehato now what's the title of the chief that broke the kola nut in Ife. So I was there, so nobody can tell me anything that happened. The Ife people broke kola nut and the Benin people broke kola nut. The Ife people prayed for Ife and prayed for Benin. Benin people prayed for Ife and prayed for Benin. So that's what happened that day. I was there, except Nomona Joe recently now, about 2 years ago or so. Though it's okay. All right. Ouch. It's too. Okay. All right. It's clear now. You will not understand. Amorio Gabriel. You will not understand. This one they call no level. See, before I started discussing this level, I made a very important analysis. What is meant by blue blood? God created the blue blood. Yes, there's actually a blue blood. Are you aware that the snail has a blue blood? Anyway, blue blood is like a special blood. It's a rare blood. There's actually a blue blood. It's a rare blood. What blue blood means in the scientific world is like something that is rare. So, in a societal idealism, it's royalty. Blue blood signifies royalty. When you say some people are blue blood, and when you say some other persons are not blue blood, you're just trying to say that this one is royalty, because in real sense it's actually blue blood. You can actually get blue blood in snail, but it's actually rare. So blue blood is a rare kind of a blood. So that means like royalties are quite rare, and in ethnic groups that understand what royalty is. So you just said, okay, I'm a blue blood. That makes that, in other words, I'm a royalty. Anyway. So like I was saying, Omori Gabriel, it's really very important, because these were some of the fundamental issues that the Yoruba people addressed. That's why you now have Yoruba people today. I mean, it's different people coming together to form one ethnic group. Now you're not having the same ancestrally related people unable to come together and forge and be united. Now, one of the most important instruments of unity is language. So the question is, if a great Benin country is to evolve, is to happen, which will be the official language? Are you going to tell the Esans to weasel away their language and adopt the Edo language? Are you going to tell the Urobos to weasel away the Urobo language and adopt the Edo language? So that is the greatest instrument of unity is language, definitely. So, but I am telling you the issue, while it is very fundamental for we to talk about unity, because once we don't begin to see ourselves as one, when it comes to an instrument of unity, which is language, who is going to shed his or her language for the other? That is a foundational issue. That is a foundational issue. The Esans believe that the language that was spoken in the old Benin, like during the days of the Ogisho, is what they have maintained. That the language that the Edo people now speak has been so corrupted because of the influences of every other ethnic nationalities that came and become part of us. That the undiluted language that was spoken 800 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago is the Esan language, because at the time they left Benin, their language was not corrupted. So it was a language that was moved from Benin, that they retained in the present day Esan land, that was the original language that was spoken in Benin. I don't know whether you understand. So we are looking at dilemmas, we are looking at issues, so that we are looking at arguments, we are looking at presentations. Is it true? Is it true that the original language that was spoken in Edo land was being retained by the Esan? There's an argument. I unveiled a fact recently about Yoruba Ife, that the original kings of Ife were called Ogene, not Oni. Oba Benin is regarded one of the numerous names of Oba Oviogene Nuhe. So, and the oldest tradition of the Ife people is called the Ikedu tradition, and the Ikedu tradition simply states that the earliest rulers of Ife were regarded as Ogene. Now, it's Ogene an Edo word or an Urobo word. Of a truth, Ogene is an Edo word, but not being used frequently. For some of us who are not too conversant with the Benin history, I like to say this. The Igwe, during the time of Obaewai the first, is different from the Igwe from the reign of Obaesige. In the days of Ewai the first, in Edowa Atie Agwe Ogene. So at one point in time, Obaesige replaced Ogene Obaesige. Now, a lot of 99% of the Benins are not aware of this fact that I want to unleash. Obaesige actually replaced the word Ogene with Osa. So it is from the era of Osa of Obaesige that the word Osa became very prominent in the Benin language or Edo language, how you want to put it. But before they introduced the original word Nedoti or Saloboa was actually Ogene, which the Urobo has retained. So that means there might be truth that the original language that was spoken during the days of the Ogishos or in the earliest times, some of the earliest migrants, the people who left quite a long time ago, retained quite some of those old ancient dictions which could have been corrupted in Benin. So I am presenting the arguments that are going with facts, visible fact. We no longer use the word Ogene, but Ogene is actually an Edo word. Alright? Not necessarily it means God in Edo, it's deeper than God. Ogene in Edo means someone in place of authority, someone that is above every other person, someone in a position like the Oba of Benin. So Ogene means someone in a place of authority that is over every other person's around. Edo, the old Edo language, the old language of the Edo people, Ogene, not necessarily only God. So that means Ogene in one point in history could have replaced the word Oba. I've just explained it. Right? So, but one way or the other, it's not true. Esan speak different too. I'm not Omori Gabriel. I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that. Yes, very good example. Aigbe Okosun is there was an Oba that was called. As at now, I'm still looking for an Ejoma that would really tell me which of these two words are correct. There was an Oba that was called Oriogene or Oyogene. Two different Benin words, spelled as the same. Oyogene. Oyogene means like Ogenes abode, place of residence. Or Oriogene, someone who choose Ogene as a title. Two words. I still don't know which is the actual one. We have an Oba called Oba Oriogene. It's Oreoghene. Oriogene. oyogene. So that's what I'm saying. No. That's not how you spell it. Organosa, yes. It is not qualifying the organ and equating it to God. Like I've told you, the original in a doing organ, it's someone in place of authority. Organosa. That's how you spell it. Osakbolo, Oriogene. There's an other called Oriogene. Is it Oriogene or Oyogene? It could be either of any of these. But the point I'm saying that this organ is no longer a word frequently used within the Edo cycle, but is frequently retained in the Urobo cycle, who also traces the ancestry to Benin. Now that's because some of these original words. Okay, I'm going to give you a very. In order for me to prove what I'm saying. There's a book here. I think I still have it here. God helping me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For those of you, you need to get this book. The title of the book is The Common Greetings of the Benin People. The Common Greetings of the Benin People, written by Hagosa Isen. He said something quite a short book. I think everybody should have a copy. Now, I want to read from here. Now, in the palace of the Oba of Benin, there's a word in Uwegwai in the palace. Who can tell me what the palace called blood? What's a blood Uwegwai in the palace of the Oba of Benin? What is the word Uwegwai na? Blood. Definitely I'm not saying a Saigian, because a Saigian is not a Benin word. It's a Portuguese word for blood. But inside the palace, they don't call blood a Saigian. Now, the same word used inside the palace as blood is the same word the Esan people call blood. I don't know whether you people are understanding what I'm trying to raise out here. That the debacle. These are one of the issues that must be foundationally. We must have a unifying language. But how are we, the Benin's, going to convince the Esans that it has to be the Edo language? Yes. Isaigen Jerry Bineweka Edo tie a blood Uwegwai. If you meet an old Edo man, if you meet a very blood is again. Any blood is Iran. I don't know how you guys pronounce it, but I'll just spell. The Edo word for blood is EROHAEN. I spell again. If anybody can spell it out. It's EROHAEN. That is Edo tie blood. Edo and bloody. The word Esaigen is not an Edo word for blood. It's a Portuguese word for blood that the Benin copied and that became part of our diction. You know, I don't know whether you understand. So these are some of the foundational issues that must be addressed. Yes, the always said I would know where to find. Spelled well by doing a greatest prince glory. You got the spelling well. So that's the blood. These are foundational. That's what it's called blood. So these are foundational issues. That's the Edo word for blood. So, however, because of the influxes of the Portuguese into Benin, it sort of affected some recent Benin speakers. The old Benin speakers, I mean, Yezedu Nedu, Iran also, bloody, not a sagging. So these are some of the foundational issues. But I have been asked to present these. I've been asked when issues like this arises. Saguen. So, in Portuguese, it's called a sagging. So the Iran, you didn't spell it well. Aigbo Koshun. That's how you spell it. The spelling is up. Somewhere it's the same pronunciation, but it's just that you didn't spell it well. So the foundational, obviously I won't have been lying. I'm quoting from Dr. Aisha Hagosa's work, one of the highest authority. And so however, someone has asked me, in this issue of this language debacle, why do you think that the Edo language should be adopted over every other languages of Benin ancestors? One point that I raised. In the days of the Great Britain, we had Welsh, we had Irish. These languages were not English language. We had the Welsh, we had Irish. These languages were different from the English language. But because the language of the queen, the overlord, have to be the language of the country that is formed. So the argument is not whether whose language is actually the true language. No. It has to be which of these language is being spoken by the Oba of Benin. Who is the overlord of everybody? Who is the king that everybody respects? So the language of the Oba must be the official language of the great Benin people. That's how I solved the puzzle. And I wasn't interested in arguing which of the languages is actually the language that was spoken in Igodomigodo 1,000 years ago, or Benin 600 years ago, or 1,500 years ago. So, because it's not really important anymore. It's not really important. The most important factor that holds, like the cords, like the nucleus, for those of us who are science, they say that the most fundamental organelles within the cell is called the nucleus, isn't it? The most fundamental organelles, the most fundamental organelles within a cell is called the nucleus. The nucleus, without the nucleus, there's no existence of a cell, because that's where mitosis or meiosis, that's where the cell division starts from or occurs from. So the Oba of Benin is the nucleus of all Edo people. So his language becomes the language of everybody. So that's how that's how I solved the puzzle of language. In my statement, I have not said that which is original, which is fake. I have not said anything like that. I'm not interested which is original, which which is original, which is fake, which is all right. But what I have said, and which is the correct thing to say, is that you build an identity from the very soul of that identity, and the very soul of our collective identity is the Oba of Benin, and his language, what he speaks, has to be the language of his country or of his people. Me, I don't know how to speak French. I don't know. Yes, I also know that it's a Latinized word, saguen. It's also being spoken by a lot of Latinos. Uses I think when you go to some of their hospitals, it's just like Saguen Clinic or Saguen Department or something like that. That means a blood bank. I think in blood bank they just say Saguen. But what I am trying to explain, things really do not matter. What matters most? No. It could have been. Let me answer you, Oteme, Jerry. What how I answer that question, Jerry Bineweka, is I try not to, when it comes to language issue, I try not to feel that this one is more superior than the other in terms of language. It doesn't concern us. All right? I cannot tell you that Edo people own Okoro. I cannot tell you that the Igbo people own Okoro. But what I can tell you is that Okoro is an Edo word that has its own Edo meaning. In Igbo land, it's also an Igbo word that has its own Igbo meaning. I think in Igbo, Okoro means someone who is strong or so. But in Benin, Okoro is prince. I think it became prince because the first name that Eweka the first in Inaya was Okoro. So I don't know prince. You know, I think the first person to bear that name would have been Eweka the first. So because of the position he was before bearing that name, Benin said Okoro means prince. I'll give you another example. Ewedo. Ewedo does not have any meaning in Benin. At the time, what's his name? Prince Efabo was his name. Prince Efabo. By the time Prince Efabo was to ascend the throne, he chose a name. You know how it is. These names, it is highly spiritual. So as he threw the last marble, he uttered the first word he uttered becomes a name you'll be addressed as. So the first word he uttered was Ewedo. Ewedo had no meaning in Benin. So but when he became the Oba, he introduced the prison system. He was the one who introduced the prison system into Benin. Now it's how do Benin even call prison? So prison, how do Benin call prison? Prison is Ewedo. So Ewedo, when he chose that name, when Prince Efabo chose that name, it had no meaning. So, but when Otogiri Orue, when he joined his ancestors, Edo now decided to call, now say prison means Ewedo, because one of the most unique thing invented, created by that Oba was a prison. So I don't know, a prison means Ewedo. A prison where do Ewedo at here. I just told you how it came about now. So presumably that's how Okoro came about. So I wouldn't say that because we had a relationship with Igbo. So Igbo bears Okoro, Benin bears Okoro. I don't know who owns it. It doesn't even matter who owns it. I've several times I've always said there's what we call ideological coincidence. When for some of us who believe in the existence of God, which the Benin's call Osanu Dajo Osanowodua or Ogene, for those who believe in the existence of God. Now, God gave his people different, almost the same idea at different time or the same time. So, in the world of science, there's a general notion that we use that when you're thinking of any invention now, there's nothing like a novel invention. Like every single thing that you are thinking that you want to invent now, someone somewhere at one point in one time would have thought about it. Would have thought about it. Maybe the only difference between you and him is that you are the one who practicalized it, who wants to make it a reality, who makes those ideas a reality. So God could have given the same name to the Igbos just like he gave the same name to the Benins. Ideological coincidence. I think that's the word we use for that. Are we okay? Are we good? Okay. Now, I said I was going to address two very foundational issues. I think I've talked about one. Peripherally, I've talked about respect between the Benins and the Esans. It's most important. We should look critically into it. It is important then. The second thing I'd like to talk about is territorial integrity. What is the territories of the Benin people? Because today we must continue to remind our people, because the gullibility that flows through the minds of our people is astonishing. So we must now remind our people the importance of knowing when a dog say,